The following was recorded in front of a live studio audience at the Studio 21 Podcast Café. This is the United Podcast Network.
If you're building or buying or selling a home, the Real Estate Crew's got news for you at the Real Estate House Party.
With attorney Rick Carter,
Real Estate House Party.
paralegal Kathy Holtshouser,
Real Estate House Party. Come in, have fun.
and comedian Tony V. Now, here's real estate attorney Rick Carter.
Welcome, and thanks for joining us here on the Real Estate House Party.
That was for John.
That's for John. That's right. I don't mean to digress already.
Yes, you do.
How
Yes,
can
I
you
do.
digress? We haven't done anything.
I don't mean to digress already. First of all, Doug Walters is here,
Yeah.
too. We have
Chrissy, how do I sound, honey?
Perfect.
Okay, thank you.
we had to
Always.
change
And you
the
look great,
microphone
too.
system around for Kathy Holtshouser today.
Yes.
Evidently, she's loud.
So loud.
So loud, we have to put in a whole new
That's
system.
not how you say it to the talent. You say
How
the
do you say it?
microphone loves you.
All of a sudden, she's the talent.
Yeah.
The loud
I
talent.
love it. I love it. I'm talent.
You're
It's official.
telling yourself, right?
She's a star. You guys are the backup dancers. Get used to it.
Well, actually, Tony's the talent.
Well, I've been telling myself
Whoa,
that
whoa,
for
whoa.
40 years.
and I've been believing it.
It
Doesn't
doesn't
work.
seem to catch on. Yeah, it's not. People
debatable.
aren't picking up on it. No.
All right, let me digress.
Go ahead.
How come when people have headphone sets on, they don't think they can get hit by a car? They just walk in front of people and just because
Is this a therapy session
No, I just
or a
was coming-
podcast?
No, I agree with
I
you.
was coming here and they jump into a crosswalk and they just think
They don't stop and look.
they don't
No.
stop and
They
look.
don't pick their heads
Because you
up.
know what?
Right.
They feel entitled and they say,
Yeah.
I'm
Is that
in
what
a
it is?
I'm in a
I'm just-
crosswalk.
No,
It's
no.
a distracted
There's-
generation.
Right,
It's
it's a distracted generation. Are
what
you
it is.
considered a millennial? You must be.
Probably.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
wouldn't define myself as one, but yeah.
Yeah,
I'm sure
You're
by
on the
age.
other end of it,
This
though,
is
right? You're
elder
just-
millennial.
Yeah.
What year are you born?
This is why they.
1985.
This
Yeah,
is
you
why
are.
they've come up with, autonomous cars and cars that break themselves
that-
because we're all distracted morons.
Oh, yeah.
We're not paying attention in the car and people aren't paying. I saw a guy today,
Yeah.
to your point.
Yeah.
There was a guy, he had to be in his 80s.
Yeah.
And I don't poo-poo that.
Yeah.
We're all going to get there, hopefully.
Yeah.
Walking with a cane, limping, on a phone, just walking through a crosswalk
Right.
like nothing's
I
going to
know.
happen to him.
I know. It's
Right.
like
Yeah. Here's all I'm going to say. Subaru, old guy, Subaru every time.
it's a perfect record.
Yeah.
Isn't it?
But then
It's
the thought
perfect.
process is I'm in a crosswalk.
Right. But
if they hit me, I'll just sue them.
No, but they just don't even think like that. They just think it's ghouls.
It's like the girl. It's
You
like the
ghouls as a
girl.
kid.
No, if this guy got hit by a car,
Ed Sullivan has ghouls.
he would shatter
Thank you, Ed
like
Sullivan.
Every-
Legos in a tornado.
You're right.
Yeah, he would just fall apart.
I watched this girl walking down a. I couldn't stop laughing. I may have been on the phone with you, and she has her phone, and she's just walking, and all of a sudden she walks into like concrete that just had been poured.
Sure.
It's hysterical.
Sure.
In she went.
Did
All
she
you
stop
do-
talking?
No.
She probably kept going.
It
All
wasn't
you-
me.
I didn't talk about you.
All you do then is sign your name next to it like you're Wayne Newton.
Like you knew what
Like
you were
you knew
doing.
what you were doing.
Like a-
Right.
Intentional.
Right. Oh, of course, that's the North Reading Walk of Fame.
All right, so we got a lot to talk about
Oh,
today.
really?
No, not really.
Honesty.
We always have a lot to talk about. What has anything to do with real
Ed
estate?
Sullivan asked me how many tips I had on there today. I said 105, and he
Yeah.
goes, "What?"
I don't see 105
Right.
on my
Oh,
notes.
okay. We exaggerate a little bit on the show.
I thought you
Welcome to
had-
the show after
I-
5 years.
I thought you gave me dummy notes
Okay, ostensibly, what are we supposed to
with
be
all
talking about?
all my great jokes on it.
I feel like this is the pre-meeting.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
No, this is the show.
No, Doug knows
You
us
know what the
pretty well.
pre-meeting is? I called Tony on the ride up here and I say, "How you doing?
You
doing
coming?
Good? You coming?"
It's the only
All right,
requirement
good
is to show up.
Show
Make
up.
sure Tony shows up
Yeah.
there.
Right, that's all.
No, someday Tony's going to sell his house, and Doug, this is perfect to have you on today. We had a stager on last week.
Nice.
I'd like to come out with some sort of plan for these sellers from minute one
Yep.
all the way through the process that we're never going to get to. This is probably going to be a 4-part mini-series, but just to start, like when they come to you, they want to sell a house.
Yep.
What kind write a marketing plan. You tell me. What do you tell them? What's the best thing to do?
I think one of the most important things when you're working with a seller is to help them understand how they're going to get more value for their property, right? So when we look at value, we have one way to look at it, which is real value, like capital improvements to the property, things that are actually going to improve the structure, right? Real value. But then you have perceived value. Right, so the staging that you brought on last week, I would argue, is perceived value. Right,
Without a doubt.
Oh,
their
totally
furniture is
perceived.
there while you're there at the
It
showing.
might not even be there.
It's not staying. Have you ever sat in a stager bed? You're going to fall right through it.
Yeah.
It's literally just a
Cardboard.
balloon.
He wants to
it's
bring
a
his
balloon.
own
You've probably done it.
He wants to bring his own stager family.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can't move in.
I want a stunt family.
Wow, is this a good-looking
Yeah.
family?
Yeah.
But
I want the people you find in a wallet
Right.
when you buy them.
Yeah, but I find. Oh, go ahead.
what kind of wallet?
You know,
Oh my God! When you buy a wallet,
you
they
don't
don't
buy
have
it.
your
Oh,
pictures
those
in
people.
there.
Right.
Yeah.
I
And
got it. I'm a little bit slow today.
Poor
I don't know
Kathy.
who those people are, but they're perfect people.
Right.
You go, there's not.
Kathy asked me the other day if she could have 6 months off every 6 months.
Yeah.
Right, Ed?
I
Isn't
love
that
that.
perfect?
Ed's in honor of Ed Sullivan.
I
who
love
told
that.
No, I
Top
said,
negotiator. Right
I
here.
said, I'm trying to figure out which kind of job I could get that would give me 6 months off every 6 months.
Retirement.
Yeah, that's retirement.
That's the
Yeah,
only
but
job I know.
except
Ed's
I
never
still
worked
want my
this hard.
paycheck.
Do you know any jokes? Because that's basically my life.
I only know your jokes,
Yeah,
and
well-
I'd have to get permission.
That's all right. Well, I'll farm it out. It's
There you
fine.
go.
So, but
Did I tell you what I got for a relative for their birthday?
No.
A kayak.
Really?
Yeah.
That's the perfect
Oh, is that his
gift.
joke?
no,
Sorry.
that's my
Yeah,
joke.
that you stole from him. All right.
No, that was a real story
You got a kayak?
for Christmas
That's nice.
in the middle of December.
Do you kayak?
No,
I think you're blurring this with his story.
I don't care.
Oh.
Who gets somebody? I'm going to get someone skis in the month
Actually,
of
she
June.
really did get that.
I got a
Yeah.
kayak, and I said, if I get a kayak for Christmas, heads are going to roll.
Yeah.
And guess what?
You got a
You haven't
kayak.
seen him since.
Exactly.
Exactly.
Yeah,
But so, to your point,
All right,
Yeah,
back
yeah.
to Doug's point.
so perceived is more palatable to the eye.
Yep.
At a quick glance, right?
Yeah,
but
definitely.
what did you call the other ones?
Real values,
Real
right,
value.
right.
Who wants to redo their kitchen and move out? If they're gonna stay, they'll redo their kitchen.
100%. Most realtors are going to recommend, very basic things, especially in the
Paint.
seller's market. Paint, hardwood floors, are really
Little
the top two.
landscaping.
Landscaping,
Yep.
anything that's going to, improve curb appeal. Sometimes I'm a fan of even recessed lighting. It's interesting,
My-
different buyers will come in.
Quick, right?
Well,
Quick.
natural lighting, believe it or not.
My neighbor
can
was
really
selling their house once, and the broker came over and told me to move my car.
help. Wow.
Oh, wow.
You're bringing
that
down
big
the
black
neighborhood.
van.
Yeah,
Remember,
yeah,
remember
yeah.
that thing?
Oh,
yeah. Can you kind of move that down the street? But go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no. I mean, the thing is,
So
they're-
they do some minor things, but you don't think that's the right approach?
Well, I do. I think
Okay.
it's
Yeah.
a combination. So oftentimes as brokers, we run into sellers that are really just primarily looking at the real value, right? It's like, what can I do to actually improve the property? When there's a whole host of things you can do to improve the perceived value. Timing of when you bring on the market, what you do for property marketing, staging. There's a whole host of things that go into that perceived value equation, and it really does make a difference. If you have a busy open house, people come in, they see, other buyers are interested, people are asking questions like, hey, when are offers due?
Right.
Things like that.
Because we're
Oh,
so
shoot.
competitive.
know?
Human nature makes it
So I
competitive.
see what you're saying. So that's perceived value. A lot of people are there. This must be a house that's
high-
very
Right, so it's
valuable.
like, if we were to increase your perceived value,
Yep.
right, what would we need to do?
Well, actually, we're talking about with the
I mean, him
Fizbo.
personally?
He's a house.
Pretend Rick's
What are
a
you
house.
saying about him?
All right.
He's having a little bit
I
of
gotta shed a few pounds here.
Where do we start?
Wow.
and Doug wants to speak at June 16th.
Oh, my.
All right, back to your original.
So pretend Rick is a house.
We would have to get a stunt.
What I'm saying is, if you want to increase the perceived value
We'd
of
have
the
to get
business,
him a haircut.
No, we get a stunt Rick.
Yeah.
We get an actor
Yeah,
to play Rick.
Absolutely.
I now know not to ask this question.
Or state it like that.
It'll be
Not in this group.
be like Cyrano de Bergerac.
You're right.
Yeah, we'll send
Right.
a good-looking. Not that you're not.
Hey, hey,
good-looking,
hey,
you know.
This is going the wrong way.
Where's all this anger coming from today?
I'm
You're not
Back to
getting a
perceived
paycheck,
value.
and you're not
Back
getting
to
a
perceived
paycheck.
value, right?
Well, you guys are no longer my perceived friends.
Right. So Doug, part of perceived. I'm going to help you out here.
Thank you.
Oh, yeah,
Because we're friends.
You've been a huge help so far. Go ahead.
I wouldn't change a thing on you, Ricky.
Thank you, Tony.
I
Thank you.
know.
Tony's invited to our next
He's my
event.
favorite boss
Go
of
ahead.
all times.
Real value for an attorney would be if you all of a sudden add some more services that provide
Yeah.
value for people.
Yeah.
Perceived value would be you're doing a closing,
get rid of the
and you got people
Tootie
coming in saying,
sweatshirt.
"Are you available? You available? You available?" It's a concept of scarcity,
Yeah.
right? So perceived value can work well for businesses. I think we're lucky in real estate that we are funneling people in to see something. Well, there's only one of it. Every home is unique. So I think real estate inherently has an opportunity for substantial perceived value. The question is who's going to invest the time, energy, and money to actually add that. And I don't find that a lot of brokers in this market are doing it because there's a strong seller's market, but people are missing out on that opportunity.
It is interesting because when we first started, and I'm not sure if I did it on purpose or not. I don't know if I had that.
You probably didn't.
Psychological mind
maybe
at all.
you did.
But we did have closings always back to back. So
Yeah.
people would always come in and say, "Oh, these guys must be very
Perceived
very
value.
good at what they're doing. They have closings all."
Either that or they're one-arm paper hangers.
Well,
could be a combination of the two.
now to that end, why wouldn't we, have some people come over to pretend they're interested in
You know
the
what,
house?
Tony? You are always
Thinking.
adding
Yeah.
nice ideas.
You know what I mean? So when you have an open house, you get like
The neighbors or whoever,
neighbors,
friends,
4 or 5
families.
friends come over.
Oh, I thought you wanted
You
to.
could be a greeter.
Yeah.
We should stick
No,
you at the front of the
yeah,
house.
that's already been
That's
taken.
what we need is a
Right.
greeter. Did I tell you my story about the greeter at the pharmacy?
No.
My pharmacy now has a.
I'm already laughing.
When you leave, they have a guy, an older gentleman.
Yeah.
You'd have to do a saying, "Have a nice day."
Yeah.
Which is a nice touch.
Yeah.
But you're at a pharmacy. How good's your day going?
Yeah.
Probably not that good.
Right. At best, I need mouthwash and deodorant. That's the best case scenario.
Right.
I stink. At worst, I needed some pills or
Right.
or an ointment.
I'm not doing well.
right.
Right.
So I
right.
think they just need to up their game a little bit.
Change the script.
Yeah. So when you're walking out, they go, "Okay, I wouldn't scratch that if I were you." All right. Nobody can tell. Enjoy the time you have left. And then,
All right. So before the show,
Yeah.
we wanted to see collectively if we could figure out how to take a minute out of the show and have that showcase.
That's it.
Real estate house.
you think
party.
that's it?
That's it.
All right.
I think
Well
Tony
done.
set us
All
up.
right. Thank you. You've been great. I gotta go.
What tip did you get from the real estate house party? Don't scratch
Don't
when you
Don't
leave.
scratch.
scratch that
Right.
when you're leaving the.
There you
when
go.
you're
Is
leaving
there a
the-
way we can little?
Sure.
Yeah, I like that. I like that.
All right, so Doug.
Yes.
So is part of I know you're really into photography
Yes,
and
yep.
showcasing a house like that. Is that part of perceived
I think
value?
so. Yeah, I really do believe that because, look at what an assessor will do, right? An assessor doesn't really care about photos. They're looking at the structure of the property
Right.
to determine if we were to replace this thing, what's the cost? I really do believe the photos are 100% perceived value.
Right.
Because if we look at it, how do people find a home these days? It's all online. And most houses only have, one picture and then you click in. It's kind of like dating. It's like you're really getting limited information until you dive in deeper. So I really do believe that set of photos, at least the way it exists right now, is key. Until technology changes, which again I do think it eventually will, we're still using photos as
How
the
many
preliminary
brokers
way.
use professional photography?
Oh, that's sad.
Yeah.
It's interesting. I sent you actually over the report on
I
this.
know.
So
I know
Box
the answer.
Brownie. Box
Yeah,
Brownie.
I'm here just to ask the question.
Yeah.
That's your job. That's a good job.
I don't want to say I know all the answers. We don't need these
This
three
was
here.
this is an alley-oop. He's trying
Yeah.
to help,
Yeah, yeah.
He's trying to help me dunk
It's
it.
called a softball.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
gotcha.
Yeah.
So Box Brownie put out a report, I believe it was last year, that was really well done. They are a company that essentially edits photos. And they looked at the United States and said, it's interesting. Some states are doing a really great job with property marketing, others aren't. In Massachusetts, I think we like to think of ourselves as being kind of advanced or, special.
Of
But when
course
it comes
you
to
do.
property marketing, we're really not.
We're not.
We're
Yeah,
really
yeah.
not. And, that was one of the reasons that I got fascinated by property marketing originally. Because when you're getting your license, you're getting into real estate, you're looking at all these people that are doing all these deals, you're like, oh, what chance do I have against them? But then I looked behind the scenes and I was like, whoa, like there was a huge discrepancy between, what people are saying they're going to do, what actually happens. And I think homeowners would lose their minds if they knew what agents were spending on property
Right.
marketing right now. For, houses are so expensive right now. It's like, hey, I'll list your $1 million house.
Which
but
I'm
only going to
amazed
spend
about.
$150 on.
They go out there with their iPhones.
Yeah.
and-
No, but I don't understand. Like, I've seen pictures in, like, the front door. They're showing the beautiful front door, and then the mat is, like, crooked. And like, I would be following that photographer around.
I see
Or,
pictures
you know,
where they're
The
taking
bed is unmade.
the bed's the picture of they have the mirror there, and they got a mirror of the photographer or the supposed photographer taking a picture, and it's right in the it's just very
behind the scenes. So usually photographers will try to set up multiple shoots on a day, so they'll have a certain amount of time. So they'll try to work with the seller to or the agent be like, hey, these pictures aren't going to look that great
you
because
can't
there's a bunch of stuff here. But oftentimes, you're doing 3 or 4 shoots a day if you can. So I think that's part of the problem.
What time do you usually do it? Later in the day?
It really depends. The best images are in the morning and the evening. But if you got a day packed, you're just going to line it all up.
Right.
I try to do 3 shoots a day, but it really just depends.
But
some days do crazy shoots,
are you with the photographer, or are you doing the
I do all the stuff.
He's the
yeah, so I'll do it all.
Yeah.
I like to do it. So
Right.
Yeah.
But so when something isn't going to come out.
100%.
Yeah, so you're going to go fix the rug. You're going to go
100%.
make that bed, right?
Yep, yeah, definitely.
Because that's ultimately what you're selling.
Exactly.
Is that
See, this-
product.
And most good realtors will do
Yeah,
that.
this is where the stunt people come in.
I know.
Yeah,
They
you
could have
a-
made the bed.
No, you have a young, good-looking couple in the bed. The guy smoking a cigarette.
You're not supposed to smoke in the house.
So that's something else that's perceived right about now, right?
Right. And people go, hey, this is a pretty good house for getting it on.
Imagine opening that door.
Yeah,
Oh my God.
Woo, hello.
What a sex life you're gonna have if you buy this
Look
house,
at
huh?
this. You'll be doing it in every room.
Why even bring them to the
Okay,
real
so
house?
that's not going on our clip, right?
No, put that on the clip.
Sure.
Yeah, put
It's
that
a
on
good
the clip.
idea, you know it.
Yeah. We have these, John from our office puts on these little real estate fun facts, and we had one the other day, which the person was great. They were about to demolish his house, so he changed the numbers of the house. Tom came in and took out the neighbor's house. It's priceless.
What about the French lady?
Oh, the French lady.
No flies on
Did
her.
you see that?
No.
So go ahead, tell it.
I don't know if I can.
All right, I'll tell it.
Good.
She makes a deal with this lawyer. Lawyer thought he was taking advantage of this 90-year-old lady. Says, you can live here for the rest of your life. Thinking it was like a year or two. And I'll pay you X amount of whatever. She outlives the lawyer. She lives for another 30 years.
What?
So she wasn't 90, was she?
Yeah.
Oh.
That's what the fun fact said, and they've never lied before.
Wait, she ended up being 90.
No, she was 90.
Facts are facts.
She lived 120?
That's what it said.
Talk about
Are you sure she was
outsmarting
living?
an attorney.
Or did they just leave it there? Did
Sure,
they,
it was
they
a
probably-
weekend at Bernie's.
did they have Mama stuffed? Like a
And keep
taxidermist come
collecting,
in?
keep collecting the 500 bucks.
like weekend at Bernie's?
My goodness.
All right, perceived value.
Yes.
So people come in, and you actually kind of not maneuver, but
Well, it's a lot of strategy.
strategy.
I think that's
strategy a better word.
I think that's the key thing.
Maneuver sounds a little negative, right?
Well,
Yeah, or like dicey,
Dicey.
or
Right,
or
exactly.
yeah, like creepy.
Right, exactly.
or-
There's a lot of strategy involved in a transaction.
No, all right.
Especially
yeah.
like
no, I'd love to hear.
negotiating.
Tell me a little bit more about that.
well-
I'd love to hear this.
Well, I think in general, when sellers are meeting with agents to potentially list their house, like they do care about certain elements, right? It's going to be like commission, what are you going to do, and how are you going to give me the most amount of money? And behind the scenes, really, negotiation is hands down one of them. Property marketing is another. Any opportunity for strategy is an opportunity to make money. Whereas there are other facets of the transaction where is less involved. When you're lining up the checklist and trying to get things done, and to be frank, you can outsource that. So I think that's the key thing is when you're looking at either hiring a realtor or, being a realtor yourself, it's like what opportunities for strategy am I going to add to the transaction? How can I add value? Because if it's going to require some form of strategy, there's going to be an opportunity to add value there.
How often do you have to tell them you do have to put in some sort of major improvements, or does
It depends on the market.
Yeah.
In this market, market's changing. It's still a strong seller's market, but it really depends on the market, Rick.
Yeah.
It's funny. You go into a lot of properties and they really don't have to do much.
Okay.
Like dated homes where
Yeah.
traditionally they'd be like, I want to consider doing like a slight renovation, this or that. A buyer is going to come in and they're
And
gonna,
rip everything
they're gonna
out
do
anyway,
that.
right?
Yeah, because we have different types of buyers coming in and looking. How long ago was it we had people moving out of Boston? buying
Right,
in the suburbs
right.
at this rate, like
Right.
I honestly can't think of a time like that. So you've got people
Right.
with a lot of money paying a high price per square foot, transitioning to suburbs with a very low price per square foot. In comparison, if you're paying 800 to 1,100 square foot and you go into a town that's 200, you can do anything you want. It's like, yeah, I'll take that and I'll fix it
Right,
up
right.
and I'll do whatever.
Right.
So it's been very interesting to see the
Well, that's what I tell
people getting houses.
That's what I tell brokers when because they do that seller's description property, and they always worry about, oh, should I disclose this? I
Doesn't
say,
matter.
Disclose everything. They're
Yep.
going to buy that house no matter what. But
In this market,
in this
definitely.
market, just tell them what's going on. What's a CMA?
Comparative market analysis.
Okay.
Yeah. So CMAs are.
Another softball, but that's okay.
Come on. Can you ask him something hard?
No, I do want to ask, how do you come up with your CMAs? Is it just, it always sounds like they're just doing the last 6 months of sales, but there's
a
more
lot of
to it
different
than
ways to
that.
do it.
There's a lot more to that, because those last 6 months of sales, someone might have improved their house, someone might not have, someone has different location.
Yep.
I mean, I really want to know how a CMA is done.
Well, I think to be frank, I have a way that I like to do it.
Okay.
I think
Well,
the
tell
best
us
way to
your
do
way.
it is what an appraiser does, to be frank, right? So
Okay.
I'm not a licensed appraiser, but I think
Yeah.
at the end of the day, an appraiser is going to be the best example of a CMA or a broker price opinion, right? Because they're official, they're licensed, they know what something's worth. I think the tough thing that realtors have to do is they have to build in market demand, that perceived value, right? So when I'm doing a CMA, I'd like to combine it with multiple factors. One being the last 6 months.
Yeah.
I also then look
Yeah.
to I like to look at annual price appreciation. Although
Yeah.
that's not a guaranteed factor,
Yeah.
MLS gives us the ability to go back pretty far, and there's some great reports in there where we can see sort of the trends of the median price point in a particular area, and you can see, 12 months ago what did houses sell for, or 24 months ago. I generally 2 years is the furthest I'll go back. What I'm trying to do is find trends to substantiate a particular price point, right? So if the previous spring I had an understanding of how the market was going to be and things are looking similar this year, then I can anticipate that homes that are, interesting are going to sell for 10 to 15% above. Really unique homes are going to sell for 20%, and anything less than that is going to sell for 5%. And condos, for example, during the pandemic, especially in multi-unit buildings, didn't do so well. So we saw, 2 to 3%
Yeah,
price
yeah.
appreciation. Whereas condos that were single-family substitutes, since there was so much demand,
yeah.
started to do better all of a sudden because people couldn't afford these single-family homes. They wanted, 1,600 plus square feet. Now all of a sudden we see more demand for those because people need them. So I think the interesting thing about doing a CMA is you really need to know the trends. The CMA by itself.
When a bank's doing their appraisal,
Yeah.
do you go, as a listing agent, do you go to that appraisal?
In the way the standard works right now as a listing agent is there if they're doing a appraisal in person, 100%.
Right.
Buyer's agent doesn't typically
Because you
attend.
can say that appraiser might not know what's sold. They should know.
Well,
but-
we prepare a packet.
Okay, you do.
We prepare a packet, and
Yep.
I even as a buyer's agent, I like to kind of be involved with that process, because the thing that's kind of nice about that is generally it's in everyone's best interest that the property appraises, right?
Of course.
And it's. We're all good negotiators. Any good agent's a good negotiator, figure it out. But generally, because we all want it to appraise, we want the best information there. So providing an appraiser with as much information as possible, I find generally works well. But, the appraisers, to be fair, are also under the gun. They got two realtors that want this done, a buyer, a seller. They have to.
The lender.
The lender, they've got to fulfill, certain requirements. So it's certainly not an easy job. I'm not signing up for it anytime soon. But I do think the difference between what brokers are trying to do versus an appraiser is brokers are really trying to look at trends in the market, like in the trenches. And not that appraisers don't have access to that, but it is sort of it's just different. When you're working
that's
with
not
agents-
their job.
Yeah. It's a little bit different.
That's not their job. Their job is to report it as they see it based on the current market conditions, right?
Exactly.
Within 6 months.
Exactly. And that's why I think brokers sometimes get frustrated with appraisers because they're in the trenches seeing this, seeing that, hearing the back and forth on different deals, which, to be fair, appraisers don't always get access
Well, in
to.
the old days, the brokers and whoever, lenders would be able to call the appraisal company and say,
410.
yeah.
Well,
Okie
Oh, can you
dokie.
send John Smith? He did a wonderful, but you can't do that anymore.
no.
well, it's
You
kind
go-
of a good thing, right?
Oh,
Yeah,
So
yeah,
the, loans,
absolutely.
the loans that are going through have a higher probability of, not falling
being
apart.
being a real
Right. So
being a real price.
I think
right.
it's good for everybody if we look at it, in the grand scheme of things. But when you're the agent, the appraisal comes in low, and you're like, God, I've worked with this client for 8 months. We found this one property, and now we got another hurdle to go over. I think that's where agents can get frustrated. But at the end of the day, we have to remember the big
I think
picture.
we had in our last seminar. I think the appraiser was saying a lot of appraisals aren't even being done on.
Oh yeah.
purchases
Well,
now.
if the loan to value is is low.
Yep.
Or they do the desktop appraisal, right? Or they waive the whole.
I have
If they know
clients do
that
that,
every
yep.
house in the neighborhood is selling for $1 million and they're getting a $500,000 loan, they don't even appraise it.
One of the best tools I think that a lot of agents don't know about is you can contact your lender, the lender that the client's working with, and find out on particular properties if there's going to be an appraisal waiver.
Right.
I like to use that both as a buyer, because then you can find out if your client is going to be, qualified to essentially send in an offer without with a shorter timeline.
Right.
Right. Like we've worked together, Rick, on a couple deals where it's like, hey, can you do the title work early?
Right.
We've got an appraisal waiver set up,
Right.
and
Right.
we've got them fully approved, rather than doing a 30-day closing. And I think we did one the end of last year was like 16, 18 days,
Right.
which blew away the sellers.
Oh, yeah.
And it worked
Right.
well for the buyers too, because then they were able to get in before the holidays.
That
Right.
lender was really good. Drones.
Drones.
I would love to see a drone of Tony's house.
Yeah.
That would be awesome.
Well, how long
What
would
would
that
it
take?
look like?
You don't have to. Just come over.
Yeah.
You don't
No,
have to
but
send machines.
we want to see a bird's eye view
Oh, that
of the
would be-
location.
That location.
Oh,
is
He wants to
absolutely-
spy on you. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
No, he knows where I live. I got a yard.
The
as
last
big
time he
as
came
his
to
desk.
visit, they wouldn't let him in, though.
No.
No. You blame him?
What? Yeah, my
Yeah.
wife doesn't like it.
She probably said, I don't know you at all, but it was quite the opposite.
Yeah.
I know
No,
you and you're not
I know
coming in.
exactly who
Tony's
you are.
napping.
Didn't you just drone for, well, we won't say the company, but you just did a massive droning project.
Massive for me, and in the sense that most of the drone work that I do is outside of the city. So whenever
This is
you
how Doug tells me about it. He prefaces it, goes, this might sound easy to you. I go, it does not
No.
sound easy to me.
it's interesting. So the FAA has a bunch of different rules for drone pilots about where you can fly and where you can't fly, and they're still kind of figuring it out. So like if you want to fly in Boston, you've got to first check one app to see if it's possible. Then you got to load up the drone, and the drone has to check another map to see if it's possible. Then you have to check if your insurance also says it's possible. So it's a really messy system. So like
Yeah.
last night I was down at the seaport I wanted to do photos for
Jeez,
meeting my
that's
boss.
gonna be cool.
Right? Really cool area. And
Yeah.
and one app said like fly up to 100 feet. I'm like, I'm going to fly up to 100 feet. And then I load up the drone. It's like, you can't fly up to 100 feet. You actually can't fly at all.
can't.
And I'm like,
Wow.
what? It's like, well, there goes my time and,
Yeah.
parking and whatnot. But, it's not the end of the world. But it is sort of a messy system. The one of the shoots I did was over by the ink block. And it was a really fun shoot. But the whole time, the drone's yelling at me that there's airplanes overhead. I'm only allowed to fly up to 100 feet. There's people walking on the sidewalk. I'm flying over like a construction site. And, drones are not common yet. Like if you see a car go by, you're like, it's a car. If you see a drone, you're like, what's going on?
Well, you got to be
Right.
licensed, too.
You have to be a commercial
Yeah.
licensed pilot. You also have
Right.
to have get an exemption oftentimes to fly in all these places.
So you don't have, in theory, not a lot of people.
Well, you're allowed to fly recreationally. You are allowed, but it depends on the
but-
area. You still need
but,
to.
But I mean, for your purposes, yeah.
I got it as soon as I could.
I got the
Yeah.
best of both worlds. We
Go ahead.
put an old photographer
Wait a minute.
in a
Put
hot
this
air
down.
balloon. In a hot air balloon.
Put a what?
A photographer.
Yeah.
Preferably an old guy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Why?
Yeah.
In case it crashes?
Yeah. And you put him in a hot air balloon.
You need a long lens,
Right.
like a really
And then
long
they can
lens.
fly around like a drone.
Would they have to have any experience doing this at all?
Of course not.
No.
No. We learn as we go.
So can I digress?
It's like World War II technology.
Wait,
I
I
like it.
just digressed. You can't digress.
The whole show's
I'm gonna
digress.
I'm going to double down. I'm going to double digress.
Oh, wait a minute. Can I interrupt and digress?
No.
Because I have another question.
Go
Okay,
ahead.
go ahead.
When does your furniture go from old to antique? Ooh. That's a good. There's got to be a cutoff there.
So
very
there is a
subjective.
huge difference
Yeah.
between old
Right, like
and
if I say I
antique.
have antique furniture,
You're rich.
Or right, if I say I have old furniture, people go, "Oh, you got to get rid of that."
Or what's a contemporary house? I heard contemporaries from the 1960s on.
Yeah, that's a tough
Well, that's
one.
isn't that what is that called?
Mid-century modern?
Yeah, mid-century modern.
Yeah. I went into a property yesterday that was a mix of 3 different architectural styles, and I looked at the property. I go, I don't even know what this is. It's like
That's
it was a gambrel, it was a split level, and it was a cape, and it did have all those elements. And the realtor was excellent. Was able to just immediately identify. It's like, oh, it's these things, and I'm like,
Yeah.
So I think to your point,
Yeah,
it can be confusing, and that's like an example of like, in my opinion, perceived value.
Yeah.
Like
Right.
in Massachusetts, we see tons of colonials. Does that mean a colonial is better than a ranch? Well, I think in some people's heads they think a colonial is. Not necessarily.
Sounds better.
I've seen some amazing custom ranches, but
Yeah.
there aren't many of them.
We
Most
could-
people
Right.
don't want that one floor living.
We could just call that one a hybrid.
There you
It's
go.
a hybrid
Yeah.
house.
Yeah.
Because hybrid sounds good.
Why don't we talk
anything.
about some expressions that are perceived devalued.
Ooh,
We did a show on that once.
Devalued.
Different
Well,
words
so
like
that-
fixer-upper.
I
Yes, that'd
interrupted,
be a
and
good
then
one.
you interrupted, and he
okay.
interrupted. My question.
Wow, just say what you want. There's
I'm
no need
trying.
to
I'm trying.
We
You
told you
point
your rule
fingers.
was you have to put your hand up. Go ahead.
Yes,
Go
yes.
ahead.
Doug,
Yes.
Go ahead.
So
Go ahead.
you used two words that I wanted to go back to. Is
Yep.
you said if it's an interesting house. Now is
That's
is that a
perceived devalued.
devalued?
That's a euphemism.
Or
Yeah.
and then you said the other one was unique, and they're both
Devalued.
Well, hold on. They're both positive
Yes.
coming out of your mouth, but
Yes.
when you said them,
Yes.
I was thinking in my brain.
That's like
It's different levels of
cozy house.
different levels of demand. is
Diamond
really
in
what I
a
mean by that.
rough.
Okay, so give me an example of an interesting house. Is the house you just described interesting?
So the way that I look at it is online interest. Actually, pretty much everything I do I base on statistics. As boring as
Right.
I am, so I look at like Zillow, truly, Realtor.com, Redfin. Those sites get a lot of internet traffic, so I look to see, what is the demand like. So an interesting home, this year would get like 100 saves like fairly quickly. A unique house is getting like 200, and that means that 200 you're probably looking at. The numbers that I would share with clients, although they're not always accurate, they tend to, funny enough, come pretty close. Is you take that number, divide it by 10, the amount of saves, and that's how many offers they're going to get. It's not 100% accurate. Just don't even. It's not 100% accurate. But interestingly enough, you'll be within the range. So a property
Wow.
Sounds
gets,
like a Zillow estimate.
well, that's the
yeah.
problem.
Oh, sorry.
But that's the problem.
Don't
Is it's
get
not
me
always
started on
accurate.
80%. It's
It's not
80%
always
accurate,
accurate.
20% of the time.
Yeah.
The key thing is knowing. Here's the thing: for most buyers, they just want to know if they're going to be in a multiple offer situation, right?
Yeah.
Whether there's 7, 10, or 15 offers, it's bad no matter what. But how bad it's going to be. Once you compare it against the CMA, it can be helpful to determine, like, okay, we're going to have a lot of competition here. What do we have to do to make
I
our
think
offer
Doug's
different?
too smart for us.
I was very smart.
Okay.
I had one.
I like it, though.
I had one broker bring another broker and said, had like files like this. All right, we're taking all final offers. None of them were offers.
What were they?
Fake letters or something.
That's awful.
Love
It was
letters?
awful.
Doesn't that break some? You're an attorney. What did you sue him?
No, he was just telling me the story. I
kidding.
said, "Ooh, boy, that's
That's a little shady.
a little."
Okay, so another devalued word. So interesting and unique are not devalued perceptions.
No, I think, well, as realtors, we have to be very careful what we say, right? You can't put in a listing description like within
Right,
walking distance,
right.
right?
To a church.
Right.
Right.
So,
Right.
yeah.
Yeah.
No,
You
that's
can't-
a double whammy.
To a
Wait, it can't
church
be-
of great family members,
Well,
right?
now
right.
you can't even say within walking distance?
No,
because
because-
some people
No.
can't walk?
No.
Correct.
It
Oh, my
can't be.
God.
Well,
Wait, it can't be
what are
within
we-
walking distance of anything?
Moments to.
Oh, I
We got
can't-
this English language. Just got to use different words.
Wait, if you buy this
What
house,
the heck is
you
going
can't
on?
walk anywhere.
Oh yeah, you can't say mother-in-law apartment.
Nope,
You
nope,
can't say.
nope.
You can't even say
Because
in-law
you're
apartment,
discriminating
right?
against people who can't walk.
I just can't get over this stuff.
What?
That's how it works.
Well, then how about an easy roll?
That might work.
Downhill to the grocery store. Both ways.
No, you can't say in the neighborhood of such and such church.
I see.
Because it
Certainly
looks
not.
like
That's
you're.
And then you
Religious.
also can't say that there's a
Right.
big deck in the rear.
Oh my God, we were doing. So
I was
well.
on that show. I was on that show.
Yeah.
That was a while ago, but I remember that.
That's why it's been a
Sorry.
while.
You never forget.
I only show up for the right ones.
So you can't. So how do you describe the house if it can't be within minutes or steps or
Moments to.
moments too?
It's a good one.
That's all right.
Or you would just be exact. You can say it's 2 miles.
Two
to
miles from
you
the
know,
beach, or
I see.
They only give us 1,000 characters anyway, so you don't even have that much to say.
right.
You know, here's a question I'll ask you, right? When you're trying to find information about something, how do you get that information? Would you rather read a paragraph, watch a video, or look at photos?
I'd like to see the photo.
yeah.
Right? Or I think more people are doing video now even
Yeah.
these days, right?
But then sometimes the video or photos leave out, like, I've looked and said, is there a pool in the back?
Yep,
Or is there a deck in
No,
A real
big deck
deck.
in the
Yeah,
rear,
yeah,
you
sure.
know? And I'm being serious.
Of course.
Right.
Yeah.
we didn't assume otherwise.
No.
So then you'd have to read to see.
Right, if it's there.
Yeah.
Yeah, one of the
Well, that's what trick photography. You get the pool in the back. That's
That's the
size of this.
neighbors.
and they got the wide lens that looks like it's a 40 by 60
Oh, I
feet.
do that all the time.
Yeah.
It's like
What'd you
like
say? You
the
do that
real-
all the time?
I make things look bigger, Rick. I mean, that's my job.
Well, hey,
I know how
just,
it- now
hey.
I know how
Everyone
it-
focus
Okay.
on
We
it.
would fix Rick now.
all right, Doug.
Now I know
I was
exactly
wondering
how
where
we
this
would.
was going to head.
That was the alley-oop your way.
So
All right,
how
someone sent it to me. I'm sending it back.
all right. So how about the real estate agent that that took pictures and took a picture of a beautiful swing set?
Oh, yeah.
Do you remember that?
I do. They didn't own the property.
It wasn't even on that property.
It's a beautiful swing set. It's on the
yeah.
neighbor's property,
Yeah,
but
Well,
Not yours, but you can have one.
here's the thing. You can look at it.
yeah.
So it is a feature. I
no,
think.
but
here it is. You can
became-
ask the neighbor if you can use this.
Yeah.
It
Is there an
actually-
easement?
It became
Oh, it was
problematic.
unbelievable.
It didn't close.
Oh, yeah. They
It
literally.
did not
set
close.
was the
Well,
swing
it's
set
more
was
to
the-
it. They thought they owned a whole lot.
Question for you.
Yeah.
Did they put in their buyer to do their own due diligence? Did it fall under that?
No, that
I'm
was.
sure they didn't.
Because that I feel like in that instance, it's like it's a how you perceive that image is up to the viewer.
Yeah, but why
It is
would
pretty
it
misleading,
be
though.
there? That is very misleading.
It's very. I mean, it's a bad.
I mean, if that was the
practice for
case,
sure.
you'd shown the neighbor's pool.
Yeah,
and,
their
you
hot
know,
tub. Well,
hot
but-
tub, and the wife.
Here's the-
Sure.
Yeah, right.
Hey,
No,
hey.
you can't do that.
Well, we do show photos of like things in the area. Like here's a public park.
No, but you can't show the neighbor's swing set.
Of course, I'm not
Yeah.
suggesting to do that.
This one was
but-
definitely a faux pas. They
It was
I
a
believe it.
huge lot.
Yeah.
with just
Oh,
the swing
okay.
set
Yeah, it
on
was a huge lot.
next to the property.
Yeah.
Why couldn't the buyer just build a swing set?
Well, they didn't own
They
the
thought
lot.
they were getting that land.
The whole
I
lot
get it
was
now. I
was
get
not
it.
owned by the
Yeah,
seller.
yeah.
I
Right.
get it now. Thank you.
Yeah.
I'm
Right.
slow.
Yeah. No, that's all right.
That's a deceptive practice.
It is.
Wow, look at you.
I know things.
Yeah,
Look at
that's
the time,
I
guys.
know.
Yeah,
we had a
it's
good show
Yeah,
today.
that was great.
That was a
Yeah.
great show.
Did you know that
Go ahead.
Oreo and Ritz are making a cookie?
What kind?
Oreo and Ritz.
Go ahead.
That's what I'm.
Is there a joke here,
no,
Tony?
No.
Wow,
a-
you're just
a-
this is a public service
Yeah.
announcement.
Oreo and Ritz crackers.
Okay.
I'm making a cookie where one cookie is Oreo and the
Really?
other, and it's got cheese.
What's
and
the
cream
wrong
in
with
them.
Oreo
It's
on
cream
its
and
own?
cheese.
Yeah, yeah. That's why I brought it up.
I
Ew.
think you're lying. That's
No.
disgusting.
You ever hear Hydrox cookies?
Yeah, they're
those
just
are-
like they're
like
fake
Oreos would not.
Those-
Right.
yeah.
Oreos wouldn't let them.
low rent.
Allegedly, because we're being taped all across America, so I don't want to say false facts.
Yeah.
Allegedly, would not let Hydrox be on the shelf with them.
Interesting.
Oh yeah.
Because they're
Yeah.
copycats.
Well,
We don't know which
I
came
thought they
first.
came first.
But Hydrox, you got to admit, is a shitty name for a
Yeah. Yeah.
That sounds like something
Oreo.
Adi January would
Yeah.
sell to his
Yes,
clients, right?
yeah.
Right.
Yeah, it's a cleaning
Poor
product.
Adi's not even here.
You're doing okay? I think you need some Hydrox for that.
I would bathe in Hydrox. every
Definitely a
night.
cleaning
Yeah.
product.
Yeah.
Speaking of Adi, we need to have him on.
We have
He's
to have
down
Adi
He's
on.
down on Pete down. He
I
doesn't
know.
Come
No, wait.
on.
I talked to him. He says next time he's up, he is going to
Yeah.
come on.
All right.
right.
Wow, this has been a great show.
Yeah, thank you. You're so smart.
Wow. It's like 12 minutes in and we're done.
Yeah.
Well, thanks, Doug Walters. What's your official? Where do you officially? What's your title,
Yeah.
Lisa? You have about 15 titles. What would you
I
like?
like to help people. You know,
Okay.
DougWaltersHomes.com, DougWaltersPhotography.com.
All right, Kathy
Nice.
Holtz, paralegal extraordinaire.
Oh, do you want to know how to find me?
The 6 months that you're not off.
I'll give you my cell phone.
Tony V,
Yeah,
going to be at
Tony
Fenway
V.
Park. I can't wait for
Yeah.
that one.
August
That's
What's the
gonna be
28th.
date? August
August
21st.
August
Nice.
21st. That's going to be epic.
Are you
Epic.
practicing?
I
He
just
just
practiced. I just practiced.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
Thanks for
Who's
joining.
the Hydrox one?
It's not a joke. I was doing
Just
a
FYI.
it was a public service announcement.
Thanks for
I'm just
joining
trying to
us
help
here
you out.
on the
I'm just
Real
trying to
Estate
help
House Party. Sorry about a few digressions today. Very unusual. Next
I
week,
am not sorry.
straightforward.
I'm not
All-
sorry.
Thanks for joining us. See us next week.
The views and opinions expressed by the hosts, guests, or callers of this program do not necessarily reflect the opinions of the Studio 21 Podcast Café, the United Podcast Network, its partners, or affiliates.